Andy Roddick rips the psychotic way tennis players were once told to approach mental health. The demanding world of professional tennis has seen a significant shift in its approach to mental well-being in recent years, a change long overdue according to International Tennis Hall of Famer Andy Roddick. Speaking on a recent episode of his Served podcast on Tuesday, April 22, Roddick, 42, reflected on the stark contrast between the current climate and the era in which he rose through the ranks, recalling how sports psychologists in the 1980s and 90s vehemently discouraged any public acknowledgement of struggling with mental health. We had sports psychologists in the 90s and the 80s, very prominent, very famous sports psychologists who were like, don't you even ****ing mention the fact that you're feeling something bad, Roddick stated, highlighting the pervasive culture of silence that surrounded emotional challenges in the sport during his formative years. He emphasized that this rigid, one-size-fits-all approach, which he described as the opposite growing up, failed to recognize the individual nature of mental health struggles. While some athletes might have been able to simply overcome it and deal with it with a stoic attitude, Roddick argued that such a blanket approach was deeply flawed. You don't treat all your patients the same way, he contended, criticizing the lock, stock, lazy, get up, don't even talk about it, chin up, go forward mentality that he felt was an easy rinse and repeat for the people that were trying to profit off of it. Roddick did not mince words in his condemnation of this past mindset, labeling the idea that this is the way that everyone should process things mentally as ****ing psychotic. This evolution in perspective within professional tennis has been brought into sharp focus by a new generation of players who have openly shared their experiences with mental health challenges, a candidness that was largely absent in previous eras. Prominent current professionals, including multiple Grand Slam champions Naomi Osaka and Carlos Alcaraz, have been at the forefront of this movement, using their platforms to discuss their own struggles and advocate for greater awareness and acceptance of mental health issues in the sport and beyond. Their willingness to be vulnerable has helped to dismantle the long-standing stigma associated with mental health in the highly competitive and often isolating world of professional tennis. Most recently, Spanish player Sara Sorribes Tormo announced on Thursday, April 17, her decision to take an indefinite break from the sport, citing the need to prioritize her well-being. In a statement, Sorribes Tormo explained her decision, saying she would be taking time for myself, for my mind and for my body. A move that underscores the increasing recognition among players of the importance of stepping away to address mental and physical fatigue. Roddick expressed his support for Tormo's decision, acknowledging the immense pressure faced by professional athletes and the necessity of prioritizing personal health. He also specifically praised Naomi Osaka, 27, for her courage in being transparent about her own mental health journey, which notably included her withdrawal from the French Open in 2021. At the time, Osaka revealed she had been battling depression, sharing her struggles publicly via Instagram. The truth is that I have suffered long bouts of depression since the US Open in 2018, and I have had a really hard time coping with that, Osaka wrote in her heartfelt post, shedding light on the significant emotional toll that the demands of professional tennis had taken on her. Roddick reflected on that moment, acknowledging the widespread impact of Osaka's honesty. I think a lot of people are going through a lot of things and I respect Naomi for kind of coming out and talking about it, he commented, recognizing the ripple effect her candor had on others who might be silently struggling. Another young star who has demonstrated remarkable openness about his mental state is Carlos Alcaraz, 21. Following a surprising early exit from the 2024 US Open, a loss he described as the worst loss of his career, Alcaraz was notably transparent about his mental struggles. He admitted feeling a regression in his mental game, stating, "The truth is that I feel like, instead of moving forward, I've taken steps backward mentally. And I don't understand why." Roddick commended Alcaraz for his honesty, particularly given his young age, highlighting him as an example of a new generation of athletes who are unafraid to discuss their mental health. "I think he's the first one we're seeing of the generation where it's not taboo or you're not like you said 29 before it's like, okay, MAF ****ing adult I can talk about what I'd like to talk about because it's important to me and hopefully it'll help someone," Roddick observed, suggesting that younger players are increasingly comfortable discussing these topics, recognizing the potential to help themselves and others by breaking the silence that defined previous generations. The willingness of current players like Osaka, Alcaraz, and Sorribes Tormo to openly address their mental health challenges marks a significant evolution in the culture of professional tennis. moving away from a past where struggles were often hidden or dismissed towards an era of greater understanding, acceptance, and support for the mental well-being of athletes. This shift, championed by voices like Andy Roddick, is paving the way for a healthier and more sustainable environment for those competing at the highest levels of the sport.